it's Diane from Teach Pre-K, and I want to address something that I don't know how you guys are going to take, but I've heard from a couple of teachers, you know, about they're a few weeks in and it's hard. There's behavior issues. They feel like they have to watch one or two children constantly. They feel like all these tools that they've been given are great, but they can't use them because they're barely keeping their head above water. And there's one thing I really want to address, and it is for those of you who have to follow a school mandated or center mandated curriculum. It can be even harder. We look at these curriculums, and a lot of directors and coordinators, principals, look at these curriculums as an end-all, be-all. Like, look at how great this is. We've just spent thousands and thousands, sometimes tens of thousands of dollars to give you teachers this amazing thing. It comes with all these books, these online resources. Every day is planned out for you. This whole thing is a no-brainer. Wow. And they have had this like awesome curriculum salesperson come in and do a great training and show all the benefits, and everyone's on board and super excited, right? But then what you start to realize is these curriculums are amazing. They are research backed. They are written by PhDs who know their stuff, right? A lot of them are professors at university with great child development programs. Some of them are child psychologists and psychiatrists. Some of them are, have PhDs in children's music, and they've got all this amazing knowledge. And they start working together to create this amazing curriculum, usually at a university lab school, which has a lot of fabulous teachers that are professors and TAs and PhD students and people getting their master's degrees, plus all the students coming in, all working together with almost unlimited resources to teach these children in this wonderful space that somebody gave this amazing grant for. And they're great. All the things that they're doing are working marvelously at this lab school. Okay, but I'll take myself for example. I work in a basement classroom. I have 16 kids in a tiny classroom that used to be the school's computer lab. And I work at a small school. I think we have, maybe 250 kids from toddler, 2-year-olds, to 14-year-olds in 8th grade. Maybe 250, 300, I don't know. But it's small. I have 16 pre-K kids in this tiny room. I have a block center, a dramatic play center, a sensory center, a library center, a writing center, a rug for circle time, plus 3 tables for math, literacy, art, science. It's all of that crammed in this one tiny room. So when I first started, we had the Houghton Mifflin curriculum. And I thought this was marvelous, right? It planned out every day for me. I got some manipulatives and some books and some vocabulary cards and a lot of really amazing resources. Actually, 2 curriculums ago, I still use a ton of the resources from, because they have these fabulous photographic pictures and some graphic pictures for a lot of our themes. But we were expected to stay on each theme for 3 weeks. And it took us through a normal school year. But here was the problem. The kids weren't interested in Welcome to School for 3 weeks. They weren't interested in About Me for 3 weeks. They weren't interested in Friends and Family for 3 weeks. Community helpers for at least 2, but I quickly learned I want to cut that short because they all go nuts. And I realized pretty quickly that these ideas that looked so great on paper, when it came to actually doing the centers with the kids, they did not hold the kids' attention like they should have. And they weren't very play-based. They assumed the kids would do things one way, and a lot of the kids, it just didn't resonate with them. It didn't work. So this is what happens. Kids don't know what they're supposed to do. Oh, and I was also having to time center rotations. Great. Don't time. Did you hear me? Don't time. It's the worst thing that you could ever do to yourself and to the kids. What I saw happening with all of this was bored kids. Bored kids equals kids doing a lot of crazy stuff, and equals behavior problems, injuries, fights. It wasn't working. It wasn't working. And I thought, why is this not working? I am following this beautiful curriculum written by all these PhDs to the letter. And it's not working. I'm watching the clock. I'm going, when's this freaking 5 minutes going to be over? Because these kids are done with this activity. Or, oh crap, the 5 minutes is over. We've barely begun this activity. And they actually like it. So I started to have to really step back from that mentality of following this curriculum exactly and go, what's working and what's not working. And I started to play with some things that weren't working. The timer, gone. If a center took 2 minutes, it took 2 minutes, and I had to figure out how to do that center better or find a center that would engage the kids for longer than 2 minutes. If a center took 15 minutes and the kids loved it the whole time, it took 15 minutes. The kids would play at dramatic play, blocks, and the sensory center, which I changed out every week so there wouldn't be boredom, because I would notice at the end of the week, they'd be bored. And my curriculum was saying, you want to have a grocery store for 3 weeks. No, I don't want to have a grocery store for 3 weeks. No, because at the end, going into like Tuesday of the second week, they're throwing groceries. No. I had to figure out how to make it work for the children I actually had in the space I actually had. And you guys, I had behavior problems. I had a child that couldn't stop biting other kids. I had a child that was injuring other kids, not with just biting, like throwing toys at other kids, blocks, things. I had like disasters left and right every single day. And I had to figure out how not to make the group of kids I had work into that beautiful curriculum I was provided with, but how to make that curriculum work with the kids that I had. That's what I had to do. And I had to start looking at creating supplemental activities. I got on Pinterest. That's where I discovered Teachers Pay Teachers. And I would find centers, and then I was like, I'm spending so much money getting supplemental centers. that I started to figure out how to create my own centers. And then that created this crazy cycle of inspiration where, like, okay, so we're doing this count and click center. They love playing with the clothespins. They like doing this activity, but I'm on my third theme where I'm doing this and it's getting a little stale. How can I make this more exciting? I would get them up to move to go run, get the, clothespin. And I've explained some of this in previous videos. But you guys, you've really got to start asking yourself how to make your curriculum work with your class instead of your class work with the curriculum. And if your director or coordinator or principal does not understand this, you need to sit down and have a really good conversation with them about it. Because you're not in a lab school. You do not have, PhD students, professors, student teachers, and unlimited resources. You have yourself and one other aide, and if you're lucky, you've got a floater. Some of you don't even have another aide, and God bless you, I don't know how you're doing this. I have a bathroom down the hall. I can't have behavior problems. I can't have kids not engaged. I need to get my classroom functioning, and the kids need to know that centers are fun. The centers the teachers are running are fun. That we find ways to make these seemingly boring things fun, right? The first thing I did was not stay on theme for all 3 weeks. It wasn't working. It just wasn't working. So then I'd get on to blogs and I would find other preschool themes that fit well into the curriculum that I was already using. I used the bare bones of the curriculum as a guide on how to hit my core standards. And then I got really good at knowing what those core standards were and how to get to them all during the year. I still kind of follow the bones of that first curriculum. But I'll tell you something I found out. Before our accreditation, we do have to have a curriculum. They just don't know that we supplement it mostly with my stuff in my school. We're still following it. We're just following it in a way that we are going to keep our kids engaged and keep our kids learning. And our kids are always ready for kindergarten. They learn so much. They have fun at school. It's a great experience. Do we still have problems? Of course we do. But so we went from our basic Houghton Mifflin curriculum to this expanded Frog Street curriculum within Houghton Mifflin. And it came with all these books, and I remember being so excited about all these books. But then I started reading all the books and looking at the pictures in the books and going, and I'd look at who wrote the book, and it's the PhD who was writing the curriculum, not a children's book writer. That's a problem too. Some of the stories would just end, and I'd be looking for the last page. I'm like, I have a beginning and a middle, and I have no end, because this was written by a PhD in child development who thinks I've got a PhD, I can write a children's book. No, they can't always do that. Some of them can, but not all of them, So I also started supplementing with my own books that I had from when my kids were little, or books that I knew were great books. I would get online and research children's books and try to bring in the best literature with really rich texts that were developmentally appropriate, and the kids would start to develop a fabulous vocabulary along with understanding the concept of the theme. So I want all of you to step out of your I have to follow this curriculum box and start looking at ways where you can still be following your curriculum, but where you're not beating your head against the wall. An email I got this week just really touched me, because I felt this teacher's frustration. I felt her desperation with the child that had behavior problems, and how like one teacher almost had to be with that child the whole time. And so when they had a floater, it was great, but when they didn't have the floater, it was miserable. And how the kids were wandering around going, I don't know what to do. I want to play in that center, but your curriculum said not to open it, so it's not open. Open the damn center. Pardon my French. But part of early childhood is they are learning through play. And what I do, and I know creative curriculum is really strict about what to do those first weeks. If it's not working, isn't that great? It might work for you 1 year and totally not work the next year because of the makeup of your class. It might work for some teachers and it might not work for other teachers. So, you got to have a little flexibility worked in there. What I do my first week is we go to all the centers with them and teach them how to play in that center and teach them what the rules are with that center. Block center changes every day, so we can teach them the rules with different kind of materials. So as I bring those things out in the future and they're out for a whole week, they already know how to play with that thing. And I give them a short review every day about the throwing toys, knocking over other people's towers, that kind of thing. So my 3-year-old class this year, you guys, so little. Most of them were still 2 when they started our 3-year-old program. I just made sure one teacher after that first week was watching those kids in centers and helping them continue learning how to play in those centers while we started introducing and integrating teacher-led centers, right? And the days we had our floater aid, would do 2 teacher centers but still have that floater or another one of us watching the kids in centers and reminding them of all the rules and how to play in those centers. So I am 5 weeks in. Last week was the first week I let go of that for 2 days with my 3-year-olds. First time. And my child that we all have to watch, he's not really a behavior problem, he's just little. He wasn't there those 2 days, so we were able to do that. I have to work with what I have, not with what somebody is telling me I should be doing. Because if I'm doing what somebody is telling me I should be doing and it doesn't fit with my classroom, my group of kids, the amount of aides I have, I am frustrated the whole day. And I read this email from this girl and she's like, oh my God, I'm 2 weeks in, I only have 1 bulletin board done. And I'm like, you're amazing that you're 2 weeks in and you have a bulletin board done. I had my outside bulletin board done my second week towards the end. I have like an inside main bulletin board, outside bulletin board of kids' work. If I have overflow work, I have other places I put it. I am just now putting up overflow work. It's hard, you guys. It's really, really hard. I think our job is the hardest outside of special ed. I really, really do. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to use your curriculum as a guide, not I have to do all of these things, and if I don't, I'm not doing it right. And then you're sitting there going, why isn't this working? Why isn't this working? Well, it's not working, and it's never going to work. It's not working because it's not resonating with the kids. There are missing pieces. So you've got to look at it from a 3 to 5-year-old's point of view and start filling in those missing pieces. It could be as easy as, how do I make this center that they're telling me to do for math, for this theme, on this day, how do I make the kids actually want to do this? And maybe you can put some motion with it. Maybe you can take it outside. Maybe, you can make it a treasure hunt kind of thing. Do you know how I did a vocabulary thing last week. It was forest animals. I wanted them to learn the animals that lived in the forest. So I got pictures of those animals and cut them out, put Velcro on them, or you can do tape. I have carpeted walls outside in my hallway. Put them outside, gave them a flashlight. They got to go hunt for those animals. And they had a list of all the animals they had to find. And then the teacher that was with them would say, "Who can you find the raccoon? Can you find a bear? Oh, look, you found the badger. That's a badger." We named all those animals. But they were in the dark with the flashlight, looking at these pictures, getting to mark off a little sheet. It was so much fun for them. I didn't just show them pictures and tell them facts about these animals. They're gonna go boing, you know, and be rolling around on the rug or going ugh, you know. It's going to happen. But give a kid a flashlight, they'll do anything, right? Give a kid a ball, put letters on balls, throw them into a basket. You've got to look at what is going to interest them. I know the creative curriculum is pretty strict. So I suggest that you guys find a Facebook group. Those of you who do the creative curriculum, find a creative curriculum users Facebook group. Not one run by the company, one run by actual teachers using the curriculum. I just looked up on Teachers Pay Teachers. There's a lot of creative curriculum based resources out there for you guys too. So it's worth going to a site like Teachers Pay Teachers and seeing what else is out there for you to supplement what you're already doing. One thing you shouldn't have in your early childhood classroom is bored kids. Bored kids equals behavior problems. Bored kids equals trouble. So the more you can keep those kids busy and engaged, the better you're going to be. This teacher also said I should probably create a task for each of the free choice centers, but that's going to take so much planning, and I could hear that I'm exhausted. I can't plan anymore. Your free choice center should not have any tasks. You know, you can give them things that could be considered tasks at those centers, but it should be open-ended, and it should be you can do it or not do it. You could have like little blueprints at the Black Center on can you make this tower? If it's Legos, can you make this? At your sensory bin center, can you find these letters and match them to this magnet board thing on the wall or something? I mean, you've got to get creative. But so much of their learning is done through open-ended play. You bring them into your centers to add to that learning that's done through open-ended play, and you try to make those centers play as play-based as you possibly can. Sometimes it isn't possible, but they also want to do things that they know the big kids are doing, things they see their brothers and sisters in kindergarten and first grade doing. So you've got that. They want to be like, I'm a big kid, I can, write a letter. If you want them to write letters, put paper under the table, have them lay on the floor and write the letters. Find ways, you guys, to make it work. And quit beating your head against the wall, and don't get down on yourself. And if you have a director, a principal, or a coordinator who, if you don't have 2 bulletin boards up every single week, is wondering what you're doing, they're focusing on the wrong thing. They're focusing on the wrong thing. Plain and simple. Just because someone else is capable of doing that doesn't mean everyone's going to be. Changing bulletin boards should be the very last thing on your list, especially if you have 1 or 2 kids that have behavior issues that are making it really, really hard for you to manage your classroom. Start managing your classroom. Start finding activities that are really going to engage your kids and reduce that boredom factor. Then you can worry about the bulletin boards. And my heart goes out to any and all of you who are feeling any frustration right now. I have days that I come home And you guys, I'm going, oh my God, that was the most crazy day. Holy moly, or I am the worst at classroom management. They were insane today. I have that all the time. We're working with 3 to 5 year olds. That's just part and parcel of the whole gig. So don't get down on yourself. Follow your curriculum, but look at how you can make it better, because you are the X factor in that classroom. You make or break the class, not the curriculum. You make or break it, and you can make it more fun, and you can make it more engaging. And that doesn't mean you have to kill yourself doing it. It just means you have to fill in the blank spaces and step away from the curriculum and see how you can make it better. Thanks so much. And if you have anything to add or any questions, please leave a comment. And I love answering you guys, and hopefully we can even create an ongoing dialogue. Thanks.